Hey there, I'm Mark from Spectrum Pulse, and today we have from Julien Baker and TORRES Send a Prayer My Way. I've had odd thoughts about this upcoming collab album for a while now. On the one hand, TORRES' brand of intense, simmering indie rock doesn't have an obvious through line towards country folk, and on the other hand, Julien Baker is my least favorite member of Boy Genius, and I've never loved her songwriting or production instincts, especially when the third name worth highlighting here is the co-producer Thompson of Illuminati Hotties, who also doesn't have an obvious country connection, and after what happened with that last Illuminati Hotties album, yeah, I was skeptical. Granted, this has been a collaboration that's long simmered for nearly a decade now, and they were working with some indie country veterans in the engineering, the mixing and mastering, so I expected it probably wouldn't feel like a cast-off diversion nor to cash in on the country trend, and yeah, it doesn't. But Send a Prayer My Way feels a bit like an awkward animal all the same. A shaggy selection of songs that feel like they've caught the songstresses on the brink of depression, insecurity, heartbreak, self-harm, discrimination for being queer, and the sort of substance abuse that goes well past the point of a good time and they know it, honestly approaching concern. It's actually more than a little alarming how ragged and self-destructive many of these narratives become, where I understand the passion that spurs those moments. It can feel so intoxicating, but I am left distinctly worried about where they might wind up, which is where the juxtaposition of their vocal presence really helps here. I was initially convinced that it'd feel a little bit uneven and unbalanced because TORRES is such a stronger, throatier, more intense presence, but I gotta say it, Baker holds her own and presents a smaller, chirpier, but no less reckless narrator, and Off the Wagon, which is one of her songs, is fucking heartbreaking as it feels like she channels a bit of Carolyn Spence on that track. And yeah, they harmonize reasonably well together. I love how well the rickety No Desert Flower sticks, especially when the dream country textures expand on that second verse. But some of that jagged awkwardness and contrast definitely starts cropping up across the tone, some of the songwriting, and especially the sequencing. Not the least being this desperate swerve in the final third to keep things lighter that all feel shorter and can't match the stronger opening tracks, where any of the attempts at humor feel kinda haphazard in order to defuse the tension, and they don't fully land. Like the disconnected joke at the start of Goodbye Baby. Some of that just might come in how they're trying to wedge themselves into country as a genre, like how the more traditionally structured The Only Marble I've Got Left is kinda clever, but it's also a little clunky, or how despite how dark Tuesday gets, tracing a teenage good luck babe in the face of religious discrimination, the lyricism's kinda jumbled and slapdash, where the punchline should have more teeth. And it only feels so incongruous because when we shift to the production, I was startled by, well, how country it is. Full of rich pedal steel with impeccable acoustic balance with the supple grooves and some of the best fiddle I have heard in a long time. And I love how the gentle accents rise up around dirt, the choppy strums against the echoing peal of the steel on Sugar in the Gas Tank that enters some watery melancholy around the cycling acoustics of Downhill Both Ways, and especially that killer fiddle and jagged electric guitar interplay around the stumbling bottom of a bottle. Probably my favorite song on this album, and you know what? Probably both artists' best song in years. I'm less impressed by the careening breakdown on Tape Runs Out. Probably one of the few places where the production doesn't quite do enough, pay it off as well as it could, but it is still solid. And it being solid is largely where I fall on the album. It's a duet project showing more country acumen than I expected, but also still clearly figuring out some of the fine details, where great chemistry and heart-wrenching tracks that'll likely overpower any complaints that I have that it's front-loaded, kind of uneven, feels more like a side venture than something that they will expand on further, but it is absolutely worth a listen if you like either artist or you're looking for more queer country in your life with some very solid quality, if a little bit downbeat and reckless at points. In other words, that's a prayer worth hearing and answering. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. If you want to see more, please be sure to like, share, drop comments, subscribe. I'm happy that I finally got around to this. I feel like there's another Boy Genius member that I should be covering very soon afterwards. Stay tuned for that. But hey, if you're fans, leave your comments down there below. I'm curious where both fans of TORRES and Julien Baker meet on this, because it's not a connection and collab that I would have otherwise expected, but the chemistry is really impressive. I'm curious where other folks are fans of one and not the other, where they might fall on this. Beyond that, though, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, I'm all ears. And if y'all want to get involved in helping support the channel, get albums on my schedule so I don't have to cover that other Boy Genius album so late, or hell, just help support the channel, link to my Patreon and YouTube memberships is right over there. Don't feel obligated, tough times, I understand, but the option's available. Till then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.